Showings live at the Capitol, and I'm with Representative Ron Kresha from District 9B. That's just north of St. Cloud. What's your primary metro?
So Little Falls is the center of Morrison County. That's where I'm housed, and that's pretty much the center of the district. And we run all the way over to almost Mille Lacs Lake to Long Prairie, Royalton to the south, to Staples Motley to the north.
Okay, very good. Well, let's start out talking a little bit about Republican budget priorities. Now, you guys, the legislature was not able to finish the bonding business it had to do last year. What's being done there first prior to taking care of the budget? Are you guys just looking at it all together as one big thing you have to accomplish?
So the bonding bill will come up again. We've had preliminary conversations, but our real focus right now is we have to balance the budget for this year as well as get a tax bill through. There's items in there like the ag tax credit that are important to my district and other rural districts. So we've got to come back to that and make sure that we have all of that put together.
Okay, well, Republican leadership has mentioned making sure that things are getting done earlier in the session than they have in the past. No indication so far that that's happening, but what are the main blockers there, if any?
Well, I think we
can't all be just Democrats.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And I think, just looking at the evidence of getting the health care relief bill done, we got a tax conformity bill done right away. Normally that's taken some time. So we are progressing quite nicely. We're having conversations, move the deadlines up, and all indications are that we'll be able to get a budget to the governor in a timely manner, hopefully well before those late April time periods.
And leadership has also promised that, at least Republican leadership, I don't know how the Democrats haven't weighed in on this, but to be more transparent about the process, to have it be more open. Kirk Dowd said, we're going to put this in front of the people of Minnesota. What do you think?
I think that Speaker Dowd is right, and I know that he's been very adamant about that with us, saying that we're going to get a budget bill, we're going to have some back and forth with the governor, we're going to do it early, and we're going to do it in front of the people, in front of Minnesotans, and make sure that it's transparent.
You just said what I said.
Are you a Republican?
I can't say, sir. But either way now, but have you seen movement towards that? Has there been any rules changes, anything like that would make it seem like there's going to be a different tone this year?
I think the tone comes from that we're actually moving things through. We have a commitment. We're talking about it in our caucuses. We're trying to get support, bipartisan support. Obviously, the proof will be whether or not we get to that. But everybody has that aspiration. We share it, and I can say that I'll take Speaker Dowd on his word and trust that we're going to move in that direction.
Fair enough. Let's turn a little bit to national politics. I understand you were talking to a local radio station, maybe news TV station earlier today about the Betsy DeVos nomination for Education Secretary. So in your eyes, it came down to like a historic decision had to be made by Vice President Pence. What were you hearing from your constituents about the nominations?
So I didn't hear a whole lot about this nomination in particular. And the conversations that I had today really centered around, are we going to just put somebody in place not knowing what their credentials are? And my response to that is, listen, we have somebody here in Ms. DeVos who's worked with at-risk youth. She has certainly been a proponent of looking at all educational systems. Not just one, looking at the public system, but also challenging things that we're doing in the public system, as well as charter schools and parental choice. So my response to this is, hey, let's put somebody in there. Let's see if they're going to look at the whole system and see how it goes. Sometimes you've got to look outside the sphere of influence for new ideas. So I'm okay with trying this one.
And what so far President Trump's ban on immigrants has come under fire. At least we heard last week from one of your Democratic colleagues that she's hearing a lot from her constituents regarding that ban, not just from a personal standpoint, but businesses in her district. What are you hearing from your constituents, Representative Kresha?
I'm not hearing a lot on this. People have been measured in it. It was a media blunder. He should have done it differently. He should have sold the idea, worked with Congress. I hope that he learns from this. We all come out of the gates maybe a little bit quick, but we'll see where it goes. This is going to take some time. Certainly, the president is a little bit more aggressive than what people have seen in the past, and I come from a district where 73% of the people voted for Trump, so I'm not hearing a lot of criticisms right now.
Okay, so you haven't heard much from your constituents regarding the immigrant situation. Very good. What, apart from the budget and bonding that the legislature has to accomplish, what are some other things on the Republican agenda that you would look forward to, seeing become law here this year?
Well, we certainly have been very pro-education. We passed a very nice education bill, bipartisan support last session, and great support with the Democrats in the Senate. And I think we look to try to do that as well. We do have to wait and see what the February forecast is going to give us. We've already put $311 million into education, which our health reform, which means that $311 million is no longer available for education and other priorities such as transportation. So we're going to put a very difficult budget together, but back to your question, I think education's going to be at the top of that list.
Last year we talked a little bit about broadband internet in the outstate, out of the 7-county metro. We see a lot of traction this legislative session on that. Where is that headed?
So we did a really nice package. We had $45 million in broadband grants, a lot of projects that were awarded. I think we've had some great success. Couple that with the federal dollars through the Connect America Fund that's coming, and we're going to see a lot more broadband expansion. Now this year, of course, we have a little tighter budget. There's still support for the broadband, but even the governor has pulled back from his $100 million and $200 million aspirations to a more $60 million number. We're going to have to measure this against everything else, transportation, education, and find out what the right solution is going to be. But the temperament is we still need to keep pushing broadband. We still need to make sure that's an equalizer in greater Minnesota.
Fair enough. And what, if any, bills are you introducing personally this session that you would like to see become law?
So I have the VoIP regulation bill, which allows for a re-regulation of voice over IP, which is telephone service. That's changing now. We're moving from the copper lines to the internet protocol. So we need to keep those regulations up. We need to have those change and review those. I'm also working on legislation for tax scholarships. If you want to donate to a scholarship and have that money go into a low-income scholarship for a student, that'll be tax deductible, or actually a tax credit. So I'm trying to get more money into the hands of at-risk youth. I'll also be working on my child protection. I've been a big proponent of making sure that we're really reaching those kids that tend to make up the achievement gap and don't always have the best start in life.
Earlier in the session, we had some committee hearings on making sort of criminalizing protests, as one person characterized it. What position do you have on that, if any, and what do you think about fining protesters or criminalizing protesters that block freeways, things like that?
Well, I think it's clear that protesting in and of itself is protected. If you want to go out and protest, great. If you want to put signs up and carry them around, you want to protest, God bless you, have at it. However, if you're going to do this to danger people, like get on the interstates and you're going to prevent emergency vehicles from passing, you're now influencing other people's rights, the right to getting emergency help and so forth. If through your protests they're going to become violent and destructive, well, you should be accountable for that. Yeah. And I don't...
But there's already laws against violence in protesting. I mean, if you want destruction of property, that's illegal.
Yep.
Violence to another person, that's called assault. There's already laws about that.
So let's make them stiffer.
Okay. They're already pretty stiff. There's a lot of people in jail in this country.
There's a lot of people still on the interstate protesting.
Well, that's a fact. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what you're seeing good coming from the Democrats. Anything, because I've asked them the same question. Yeah. Sit down with a Democrat. What do you see from the GOP that's constructive? What do you see from your colleagues? Because otherwise people think you guys just fight if they watch the news all the time.
And that's right, and that's not true. I have been working with my Democratic colleagues on a number of issues. One of them is a rule study for nurses. We'd like to find out why the nurses are leaving the field, why they're not staying in rural parts, and I'm co-authoring that with Representative Thiessen, for example, that I worked very closely with the Senate Democrats. Now that's going to change over to Senate GOP, but I still have good relations with Senator Jeff Hayden and other ones, other Democrats in the House here, like Representative Moran. So we see these, and frankly, and if we're not going to talk across party lines, we're not going to get some success. When I look at Representative Moran, who certainly knows way more about the African American community than I do and has a great insight, we can work together. But I also have a good rural perspective on what's happening with our kids. So there's just a multitude of things that we can work across party lines for, and I think that'll continue.
Fair enough. Anything else that you want to share, I mean, in general with the public about what's going on up here at the legislature at this moment that might be interesting to them?
I think the best thing I would say to the public is just don't stop talking to us. Doesn't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. Contact your representative or your senator, because that's where our bill ideas come from. I mean, we don't come down here and just sit around and think of ideas. We wait to hear what we're hearing from our area, our grassroots efforts, and those become laws. So just keep contacting us. Doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on, but let us know, because that's the best way that we can help.
Excellent. Well, it's good visiting with you, Representative Kresha. Is it Kresha or Kresha?
It's
What
Kresha.
do you
Thank you.
prefer?
Yeah.
Okay, Kresha.